Hey everyone, it's Ashley and today I'm going to be giving you a review of I Was Here by Gayle Forman. This book was recently released. I read it in the month of April and I devoured it. I loved it, so I really wanted to give you guys a review of it. I Was Here is about a girl named Cody who loses her best friend Meg because Meg completes suicide. The beginning of the book starts with Cody reading her best friend's suicide note, which is in an email format, and Cody does not know how to process what is happening. She had no idea that her friend was suffering at all. She had no idea her friend was even thinking about that. And then it's kind of just about Cody's journey through trying to process what happened to her best friend is essentially what the novel is about. Cody ends up going to Meg's dorm room to pack up all of her things, and in the meantime realizes that she actually didn't know her friend as well as she thought she did, and makes it kind of her new mission to get to know her friend a little better. And that's basically all I can tell you without ruining anything. It is a very, very, very character-driven novel, and it's one of those novels that really is just about this one character realizing who they are and going through the struggles of being a normal person and just processing emotions and feelings. And generally speaking, I really like those novels. The novels that focus on real life character development. I don't know how else to describe it, but I really like books like that. And this one also dealt with the issue of suicide very well. There is a love interest-esque character in this novel. His name is Ben McAllister. He's not necessarily a love interest so much as a male character that is also within the novel that you kind of are like, oh, is this gonna happen? Is this not gonna happen? But it's definitely a very low on the totem pole element of the plot line. The main plot line is really just Cody coming to terms with things and growing as a person, and I really like that that was the main point and that Gayle Forman didn't make it all about the romance. And I feel like all of her novels are romantic, but they all do that. They all focus on the character, and the relationship is almost like a sidelined thing. The most relationship-y one is probably If I Stay, but it's really not about the relationship, it's about her coming to terms with things. So yeah, Gayle Forman is really, really good at developing female characters and making them realistic. So let's talk things I liked and things I did not like. Some of the things I really liked were the character dynamics in this book. I found that Gayle Forman really develops her characters, even her sub-characters, really well, and their relationship with the main character really well. And she also used a lot of not conventional relationships throughout this novel as well, which I found to be very it was like a breath of fresh air almost, because generally speaking, and I am generalizing just to be clear, YA tends to be very general, you know, this kind of character, this kind of plotline, this kind of family, then this happens, and this kind of relationship, and you always kind of know what's coming. And I like that with Gayle Forman, she tends to make the dynamic of families and relationships, not just love relationships, but relationships in general, between all the characters to be very, very unique, and I really like that. Also, the writing style. For any of you who have read Gayle Forman before, you know this, but she is so fluid and poetic, but also not patronizing with her writing. It's so compulsively readable and so easy to read, and it also doesn't read like it's written for a toddler, which sometimes I find YA can be. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes I can truly tell that certain authors are patronizing their readers, and I really hate that. But Gayle Forman never does that. I've never ran into that in any of her novels, but they also still read like they're super, not easy is the wrong word, but that's the only word I can think of right now, which is also really, really nice, because sometimes I don't want to read something that's going to take me 50 minutes to read one page because I just don't understand what any of the words mean. On the flip side, something I didn't necessarily like, but ultimately was kind of unavoidable, was that you kind of, you see the kind of relationships that Cody is going to have with all the characters she meets pretty instantaneously. Once she meets someone, you kind of understand where that relationship's headed, and that was a bit, not as unique, but ultimately with this type of novel and the way that it was structured, it was just unavoidable, so I can't really fault Gayle Forman for that. The one thing I can say is there were a few loose ends at the end of the novel that I wish she had tied up a little bit more. I can't really go into exactly what I'm talking about without spoiling the book for you guys, but I really wish that, like, some of the side characters and their relationship with Cody, I kind of wish that there was more of a wrap-up with that, but at the same time, I feel like I understand why there wasn't. It's meant to be a realistic novel, and it kind of cuts off at a point in Cody's life that realistically the book would cut off at, and you kind of get to just decide what happens afterwards. And I actually do sometimes like that in novels. So ultimately I gave this a 4 to 4.5 out of 5. I really, really liked it. I would highly recommend it, especially if you're a contemporary lover. I think this would be right up your alley. And otherwise, I will see you guys soon with another video. Happy reading. Bye!